Hello everyone and welcome to the Startup Tuesday edition at Apollo 14. My name is Igor and today I'm going to talk a little bit about two very contradictory things that I love. Those being sustainability and plastics. And I can understand that when I put those two things together it doesn't make too much sense, but bear with me guys and let's see how this goes. When I thought about how to present this, I thought that the best way to do this is to define the problem. And what the best way to do that, but to do it with numbers. So, in the last 70 years, we collectively, as human species, produced more than 8 billion metric tons of plastic. Only 9% of that has ever been recycled, with the vast majority, 79%, being in the landfills or ending up in the environment, such as the oceans. This basically means that over 6 billion tons of plastic that we made it a waste. And for me, it was really hard to comprehend the number of 6 billion tons of plastic. So I thought how to put it in the perspective and how to make it easy for other people to understand it as well. And I just wanted to show you and to show how much plastic waste that is. 6 billion metric tons of plastics is over 15 million Boeing 747, which is one of the biggest airplanes in the world. Also, it's over 1 billion elephants, or it's over 623,000 Eiffel Towers. This is crazy. I think by now it's becoming clear that plastic is definitely a problem. But at the same time, plastics are such an integral part of our life. We use them as in plastic packaging. We use them in healthcare. They're in all the products that we use on a day-to-day basis, including the electronics or our cars. So while plastic is a huge problem, or plastic waste is a huge problem, plastic is definitely part of the solution. There is a lot of innovations happening nowadays that focus on resolving the problem of plastic waste. And those innovations come from chemical recycling to mechanical recycling. But what we focus on Circularise is supply chain transparency. What it means practically is that we do material traceability. Basically, we work with the companies in the chemical industry, the guys that produce plastic, and we help them trace plastic materials, plastic resin, from the very beginning of the supply chain into the components and eventually into the final products. At the same time, we enable them to share information with the consumers, governments, and NGOs about their plastics, about the sustainability of their plastics, without ever exposing sensitive information. Why are we doing what we're doing now, and why there is so much pressure on these companies to become better, to become more sustainable? Well, this is a threefold answer, with the first part being regulations. What we are seeing nowadays is that there is more and more regulations, more and more governments coming and saying that we want to become sustainable. And you, the companies, the businesses, need to take steps towards becoming sustainable as well. The European Green Deal is just one of the new regulations coming into place that sets the vision for the whole continent of Europe to become sustainable. At the same time, what we see is that businesses see the value of becoming more sustainable. It's not detrimental to their business success anymore. And at the same time, while they're making these claims about sustainability, they also started setting up targets. So let's say some of the companies are saying, we're going to be using about 25% recycled plastic. Now, the problem is that these companies cannot just say that they're going to be using recycled plastic. They also need to show that. And the consumers don't just believe empty claims anymore. They really want to see the proof of what they're buying is sustainable. So the problem is threefold, as I said. The governments and NGOs, alongside the consumers, saying, guys, you need to provide more sustainable products. The brands see this trend and they're figuring out, so if we are actually using recycled material, how can we prove that? And that's the point when they come to the material manufacturers. But material manufacturers find it very problematic to provide this proof. And the reason for that is that over 65% of the procurement leaders have limited to no visibility beyond tier 1 suppliers. Supply chains, at the same time, are way more complex than just tier 1. There is tier 2, there is tier 3, tier 4, and so on. And as the complexity of the supply chain increases, the transparency in the supply chain decreases. Now imagine, with all this complexity and with all this lack of transparency, these companies need to prove that they're sustainable. The way it's happening nowadays is that they're using a paper-based system. The paper-based system is very outdated. It's a very time-consuming process that involves a lot of people like you and I just sending each other documents. It's not scalable, and at the same time, above all, it's very prone to error and fraud. So we at Circularise really try to fix this problem. And what we do is fairly easy. I would like to bring up an example of a plastic and what we do in plastics, and in this particular case, an example of a bag of plastic resin. So imagine we're having 10,000 kilograms of plastic resin. What we do in our system is very easy. We create a digital version of that is equal to the original physical version on a mass balance scale. What this means is that for every kilogram of the material in the physical world, you're getting one token. Now, this token represents the material, but at the same time, because we're doing this in a digital environment, we can attach all sorts of new information to it. And this can be information coming from the certificates of sustainability, or perhaps it can be some kind of third-party audit, or this can be information coming from the sensors, or for instance, even information coming from the IoT devices at the factories that can claim such things as reduction of CO2 emissions. Now, at the same time, if some of this information really needs to stay a secret, then we can use what we call a smart questioning technology, the technology that we developed at Circularise that enables these companies to share data, to share information about products without ever exposing their sensitive data and maintain privacy. So instead of, for instance, putting the whole bill of materials out there, they're able just to share bits and pieces of information that are relevant for the regulators or for the recyclers or for the consumers. As I said, what we do is fairly easy. On the left side, you can see a physical supply chain. On the right side, what we do is we create a digital supply chain that mimics the physical one. At the same time, it has all the information needed to prove the sustainability of the supply chain. This system is way more efficient than the old paper-based system. It's also decentralized, and I'm going to come back to that in the coming slides. And at the same time, this is a way more scalable way of doing transparency in the supply chains. Now, I'd like to explain to you and to show you how we're different from the rest of the companies in the market. And to do that, we need to talk a little bit about blockchain. When we talk about blockchain, there's two types that we need to consider. There is the private blockchains, the private permission blockchains, and public blockchains. If we're talking about the private blockchains, we're talking about a centralized system that typically still belongs to a select few individuals or companies. This system, like Hyperledger, is typically in the hands of a select few companies, and they can allow other companies to join it. They can also kick them out. They can see the data. They can manipulate the data. So this kind of system, while it's very, very good for short-term gains of using blockchain, it's not the best when we're talking about, let's say, building a standard for the industry. Now, we go to the other spectrum, to public permissionless systems, and then we're talking about systems like Ethereum. Now, this kind of system allows everyone to join and allows everyone to be part of it. But at the same time, a soon as you put anything on a public blockchain, it's going to stay there forever. Which means that if we're working with the companies, maybe like Coca-Cola that wants to put a recipe, their recipe of Coca-Cola there, if they do that, then over the time, somebody will have unlimited time to actually break and check what is in that recipe. So public blockchains, while they're amazing for standardization and for openness, they're very, very bad for sensitive data. And that is exactly the problem that we try to solve at Circularise. We developed a solution that enables us to use a public system that is very ready for a broad market adoption and enables it to become an open standard. But at the same time, with the technologies that we used, we managed to make it suitable for sensitive data. Now, another aspect another differentiating factor in what we do in comparison to other companies is the open approach. And when we talk about that, I would like to bring an example of an email. All of us use emails every day, sending each other, receiving information. At the same time, some of you are using Gmail, some of you are using some Microsoft solutions like Outlook, or maybe somebody else is using some other solution. At the same time, we can all communicate, we can all receive emails, we can all send them. And the reason for that is that there is an underlying data sharing protocol that enables that. What we do at Circularise is we develop an open source protocol for data sharing for the corporates, for the companies. And then on top of that, we're building our own proprietary commercial solutions, the clients, the supply chain mapping, for instance. Now, we believe that while this is a really great solution that can benefit us, sustainability and supply chain transparency that enables sustainability shouldn't belong to one company. It should really belong to every company out there. That's why we're creating an open source protocol. We want to enable every company to join and to build their own solutions on top of that and to become sustainable. Now, why do we really need transparency? And once again, the answer to that is maybe threefold, fourfold. I think for the consumers, it's very important to know what is in their products. If I'm buying something sustainable, I really want to know that it is sustainable. For the brands, they're on the other side. The brands want to show and to build trust with the consumers. And when they sell products, they want to show that these products are actually sustainable. And for manufacturers, they can now show the origin and impact of their products and show that also to the brands and regulators. But the overarching idea behind every one of these reasons is the circular economy. We want to enable the circular economy on a mass scale, but enabling all these companies to share data and to make, by making their products and materials traceable. For the last 2 years, we've been getting a lot of traction in a number of industries. Plastic is one of them. We created a consortium with Domo Chemicals and Covestro to really drive the development of this protocol and to provide the solution for the industry. At the same time, we had projects with the province of South Holland. We also worked with companies in the electronics. And recently, we've been working with companies in the textile sector. And right now, I would like to show you a short video that basically is going to do a recap of everything I said. Instead of 10 minutes, just in 2 minutes.
This is a sweater created out of recycled materials. And this sweater saved about 3,500 liters of water. Refreshing. But how can we be sure this sweater is as green as it claims to be? Well, that's where we come in. Let me explain in 4 steps. Step 1. Activation. This is real recycled fiber created from textile waste and discarded plastic bottles. We mix the fiber with special microscopic tracer particles, our unique traceable fingerprint. The fingerprint corresponds with a secure digital passport that contains all data about this recycled material. This passport is safely stored through blockchain technology. This makes Aware recycled materials completely fraud-free. Step 2. Produce. Aware yarn can now become anything made by any nominated supplier you'd like to work with, whether it's a hat, a coat, a bag, a pair of socks, or a sweater. So working with Aware, you have total freedom of supply chain. Step 3. Scanning. With a simple scanner, we can detect our unique fingerprint in the fabric of the final product. Step 4. Authentication. If our fingerprint is detected, the recycled material used for this product is matched to the safely stored original data in blockchain. It's as easy as that. A simple and transparent supply chain with no dirty secrets, which gives you and your customer complete peace of mind. A true story from start to finish, told by the fabric itself.
So as you can see, while this solution provides a lot of opportunities for companies in the plastic industry, there is also opportunities for companies in the built environment or, for instance, textile. At this point of time, we're a team of 6 people, and we're planning to expand. So if you're a person who is looking for a new, exciting adventure, if you're a person who likes to do back-end development or front-end development, if you're a UX or UI designer who is interested in sustainability, circular economy, and supply chain transparency, please feel free to reach out to us. Also, if you're a company or organization working in The Hague or maybe some other place that wants to move towards sustainability, that would like to become more sustainable, then we are here to help you. Please feel free to reach out to me or anybody else in our team, and we'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
For the presentation. What is your business model in the end of the day? Who's paying for the product?
Yeah. So as I said, we have 2 parts that we're working on. One of them is being material traceability. Another one is building the open source solution for data sharing. So we don't envision making money on the data sharing platform. At the same time, the way we make money is on tokenizing the materials. So for every kilogram of the material that goes through our system, there is a small price on top of that. And that's how we're being paid by the industry, by the material manufacturers. Yeah.
How do you make sure that the blockchain is cooperating in the system? Is that the brand owner that wants this from the manufacturer, or is the trigger for the chain to cooperate?
Yeah. So the question is how do we make sure that every single party in the supply chain buys in? It's a very hard question, and there is no direct answer to that. We're approaching it from both sides. So we're working with the companies in the very beginning of the supply chain, with the material manufacturers, and we're developing a business case with them where we say that traceability of the material is going to make your material more attractive for brands. We're at the same time working with brands and putting them in touch with our material suppliers to show them the added value of this traceability solution. But in the end of the day, it all comes down to the consumer who is saying that we want this to be more, we want the products that we're buying to come with a certain proof, and then governments also see that trend. They're saying we need that to happen, so they're putting regulations in place, and then it goes down the chain. The brands are under the pressure from the regulators, or maybe they just really are more sustainability minded, and that's how it goes down the chain. So everyone gets involved, but it's a very long and tedious process, and nobody yet knows how to do it properly.
What is your biggest challenge right now?
So right now we're in a very good position because we're working on funding. We just got another grant, which means that we have money to actually scale the business and develop our solution even further. The biggest challenge right now is to find new people to join the team, and at the same time to make this an actual business to work with more companies to build the standard for the whole industry, not just for several parties using it.
Can you share an example of the proof that everyone is looking for? You keep mentioning proof, but I'm
Yeah.
curious, what is this?
So the question is, what kind of proof and an actual example that we are doing. I cannot share a lot of information. The easiest proof maybe comes from the video that I just shared. There, I think, in the textile industry, there is a huge problem with organic cotton, because from the looks of it, there is more organic cotton on the market that there is the capacity of the world to produce. So something is going wrong there. And we are working with this company, for instance, to show that they are actually using organic cotton, and that is one of the major claims, for instance, in the textile industry. In the chemical industry, it's a little bit different, and we're focusing on recycled materials. And then with the recycled materials also come such claims as the reduction of CO2 emissions, or maybe some other claims regarding the water savings. Thank you.
And in, let's say, 3 to 5 years, where do you want to be with Circularise?
That's a very good question. Where would we like to be in 3 to 5 years? The best case scenario is that our solution, the data sharing solution, is actually going to become a cross-industry standard. So by then, we would like to have a foundation that's going to be driving a separate foundation from Circularise, that's going to be driving the development and also the adoption of this solution. And on our side, we would like to be one of the companies that can help other companies become more sustainable.
Last question. You're in The Hague.
Yeah.
How do you see The Hague or the Netherlands helping you with this?
Well, how do we see the Hague infrastructure in Netherlands helping us? I have to say, first of all, Netherlands is an amazing country. That's period. I've been living here for 7 years, and the amount of innovation that's happening here with the support of government is crazy. Our company, up to this point, has been fully funded by the European Commission, and this barely happens anywhere in the world, I think. So these kind of innovations, what we're developing, is only possible with the support of organizations like ImpactCity, with the support of organizations like The Hague, not organizations,